start the stream?
Yes.
Cool.
Starting stream.
Starting stream. Pat, you are live.
Hello, I am your father. Sorry, I've just always wanted to do that while I've had this face mask on. So, I am Pat, and today we are diving off Grand Cayman, the western side here at Casuarina Point. We have Rian on camera and Simone as our surface biologist, and I want to welcome everyone along to come dive with me today. So, I'm going to be looking today for a hawksbill or a loggerhead turtle. Now, yesterday morning, Lauren found a tiny, tiny little juvenile turtle, and they are known to stay around sort of the same area, so we'll be on the lookout for that little fella today. Up to you, Simone.
Thank you. Now, welcome everybody. We are finally back in the water for our 7 a.m. dive. Now, don't forget to hashtag diveLIVE on Twitter so you can get all your questions answered, as well as on the Facebook diveLIVE stream. We will see all your comments and our YouTube channel as well. So send in any questions about whatever you see. This dive is for you today. So we want to know what you want to see. Now, Pat, I know that you're very, very keenly looking for, you know, a loggerhead. Is there anything else that you really want to see today?
Well, I also would really love to see an eagle ray. We did also have a couple of those yesterday, but unfortunately, because of tech issues, we only got a short glimpse of them. So fingers crossed today, they're still hanging about because, geez, they're just beautiful to see in the water.
They are really, really majestic. And can we know what your depth is, what the temperature is, and maybe what the visibility is today? It looks quite clear.
Yeah, it's actually really beautiful down here today. So I'm currently at 7 meters depth, about 25 feet down, and it is 27 degrees Celsius, so about 81 degrees Fahrenheit, and visibility, I would say about 25 meters today, so about 85 foot of visibility, which is great. It's looking really nice. The colours are really vibrant down here, despite it being quite overcast, so you have pretty shocking conditions up there on the surface, don't you, Simone? The colours are really vibrant down here, despite it being...
Sorry about that. We were just having a couple feedback issues, but we're all good now. Now up ahead we have a triggerfish. We're seeing a lot of very fishy kind of dives at the moment, and I think it's because a lot of the time when the visibility clears up, there isn't too much food around for the fish, so I think they come really high up off the reef, and we get to see, as you can see here, this beautiful coral area with just fish flying about searching for food. And we've got some banded butterfly fish in the center there.
Oh yes, that's nice. And right next to them, to the right there's also some fluorite butterfly fish.
Oh yeah.
Two very, very closely related species right here, and you notice that they both in pairs, and this is because they tend to choose a mate for life once they have found them. So quite often we look at butterfly fish fluttering about the reef in pairs, doing everything together, like feeding, mating and hiding out.
And we saw that those two different species had very similar body shapes. That's just the butterfly fish kind of traditional shape. And you can see they have a bit of a snout, a long pointy snout, and that's to feed off coral polyps. They use their tiny, tiny mouth to suck out polyps from corals. And they'll actually hang around their favorite coral, type of coral that they like to eat for a very long time. They get a little bit territorial at times as well. I understand it. I don't want anyone stealing all of my food. Oh, a spiny lobster.
Oh, beautiful.
Yay.
Nice spotting there, Rian.
Yes, it's so beautiful. So this is a Caribbean spiny lobster. It actually has two spikes above its eyes. Now it is upside down, so its eyes are at the bottom, just for everyone. And it's got these long antennae at the bottom of its, at the top of its body, but it's upside down. So at the bottom of where you're looking, that's the antennae. And then it has these antennules, which is what it's waving around right now. So the antennules is allowing it to smell. They're chemosensory. Wow. This is
just quickly, there's a lot of noise down here, I believe, from a boat, so I can't really hear what you're saying. Is it possible to get my audio turned up?
yeah, let me just see. Oh, we've got 2 lionfish as well. All right, Peter is on the job. He's going to try and turn up your audio.
So it really pays to look in the cracks and the crevices and the little caves here formed by the reef, because this is where a lot of nocturnal animals and a lot of slow-moving animals will quite often hide out during the day. And as we can see, we've got some lionfish, some squirrelfish, and a tiny lobster, all in this one tiny little area of bottom.
Yeah, it seems very, very active down there. It's gorgeous. And Patrick was saying that there was a bit of boat noise. So this means that the fish actually are struggling to communicate with each other. And that's also a reason that they're going to be up off of the reef, because there are large cruise ships here at the moment. Yeah.
So up ahead we have a very, very peculiar and very beautiful looking fish. It's scrolled filefish.
Yeah, he looks gorgeous. So it's the scrawled, or scribbled in some parts of the world, filefish. Now note that he's got a trigger, a spine on his forehead, and usually that's not up, so we're very lucky we get to see that. Beautiful. Now that spine allows it to kind of wedge itself into the rocks. And they use it for behavioral reasons as well. Now Pat, can you hear us a little bit better?
Marginally.
Okay.
I'll just have to really concentrate.
No problem. We'll keep you on your toes while you're down there.
Yeah. Can't make this easy, can we? so you can see that the mouth of this filefish is quite rounded and protruding out to the face of it. And it's got very, very strong fins there. And hopefully it looks like it's about to feed, but that's because it likes to pick things off rocks. And I think they even use it to pull it some corals as well. So you see them using these really strong things to pull things off the reef.
Now Yvonne is saying that she would love to see an angelfish. So she hashtagged diveLIVE on Twitter, and she would really love to see an angelfish, and I agree.
Yes, definitely. I'll always keep my eye out for angelfish. I'd particularly like to see a queen angelfish because they're beautiful colours, so I'll most definitely keep my eye out for that. Oh, that big midnight parrotfish over here, that's
Oh yeah, right in the center. That's a huge midnight parrotfish.
These are one of the biggest parrotfish. These are the rainbow parrotfish. It's like these escapients. They are quite big, these fish. Luckily their pectoral fins, or the fins on their sides, move around.
Yeah, and they grow absolutely huge, these midnight parrotfish. They have territories, and they will fend for their territories very fiercely. As in a territory, there are 2 things everybody loves: food and ladies. So they're not too different from us when it comes to social aspects.
Not at all. It's actually, yeah, there are quite a few behaviours in fish that we also observe in humans. It's quite easy to get into the habit of thinking that fish are kind of dumb or silly or don't really have any form of emotions or ways of living, but they most certainly do. And once you start to get down here and observe these fish, you start to realise that we're not actually that different from them at all.
No, not at all. I think, especially when it comes to social behaviours evolve. I mean, they're instinctual. So you need to evolve these behaviours to survive, and it makes sense that we would all converge and begin adapting and evolving in a similar manner. Now, Proud Cat Mama was wondering, do spiny lobsters migrate? And I think you know this one, Pat.
Yes, so they don't migrate huge distances, but in the stormy seasons, when there's a hurricane coming or really bad weather coming, they'll actually do something pretty fascinating called queuing. So what they'll do is they'll line up from antennae. They'll lay their antennae on one in front of them, and then the one in front of them will do the same. So they're almost in like a conga line. So, oh, excuse me, sorry. So they will do this and migrate to the deeper waters where the storm isn't going to have as much effect because there's so much water there that the water movement isn't going to be as harsh. So yeah, they will do this thing called queuing and migrate from shallower waters to deeper waters during stormy times.
Yeah, and spiny lobsters, you know, they, as we saw there, they like to hide in caves, and so they'll have their favorite, you know, five, six caves that they'll dot around, but they'll be in really close proximity. And they'll actually might have a few different Sheilas, a few different girls in each cave, so they'll be hopping around to their girlfriends' houses. Very sneaky.
So we're making our way a little deeper here onto the sandy patch. And this is where a lot of ray is. Rays like to hang out, so we'll have a bit of a scour around here and see what we can see.
Yeah, I love noting the stark difference between sand and corals. You know, everyone thinks that sand is so barren, and it's not. They're just amazingly camouflaged animals down there. And also, when we see a lot of reef fish or move onto a sandy bottom, they lighten their colors and they camouflage as well. So I think everyone knows it's a little bit dangerous to be hanging out in the sand because there's absolutely no cover.
Now, I just want to quickly show you over here, we have a big barrel sponge right here. Now, this is quite a large specimen that we have, and I've seen other ones of comparable size that have been 9,000 years old. So this sponge right now could literally be well over 1,000 to maybe 3,000 years of growth right here. So that is a very, very old man.
It's a very old one, and you know, we have to remember that that's an animal, so that's not a plant. So that's some of the oldest animals on the planet, right in front of us. And I love their structures. You can see how they poke out, and they're actually pulling in water. Pat, if you go over the top of that, can you feel water coming out?
Let me see it.
Yeah, because sometimes I feel like we can.
I'll just put my hand over the top here. Yes, you can feel a very light current coming out of that. So that is actually it breathing. So they take, as Simone was highlighting, they take water in through little pores and then they shoot it all out the top. And what they're filtering out when they do this is oxygen and food. But also, they are hermaphrodites, meaning that they have both sperm and egg cells. So what they're also doing is filtering sperm out of the water because they retain their eggs and release the sperm. So when it's time to mate, they will suck in all the sperm and it'll be fertilised, and then they will release a larva which will settle and create a new sponge.
Yeah, and each cell that makes up a sponge is an individual animal. So if you basically put a sponge through a blender and blended it up, all of the cells are animals and they would be okay, and they would actually regroup.
Yes, that's a very good point. And this is also because the cells aren't specialised. So any cell can transform to do any job in the sponge that's needed. So it is a very, very primitive animal, so there's not many cellular functions that it needs. So any cell can literally just transform and do any job needed for this sponge.
Yeah, and those jobs include from creating that water current that we were talking about. So some of them have little tails that they flap around to create a water current. Others will grab the food. It's absolutely magnificent. And we can see that there are so many animals that are living in these organisms. So they're almost living homes, if you please. Right now, there's actually the arm of some sort of starfish. It looks like a brittle star. I'm not sure if he'll come out, but that's just one example of an animal that makes this his home. And they're sessile as well, so they don't want... They're made out of glass, basically, to stop predators from eating them.
Yes, no one really wants to have a massive stomach full of glass.
Now, Tracy is saying that she used to put her face over a sponge and feel her hair flow through the current. That sounds pretty amazing. I don't know if Pat's hair is long enough.
Yes, it's not as long and beautiful as yours, Tracy.
Eloise was wondering, are sponge populations affected by collection?
Collection? Well, back in the day, sponges actually used to be harvested for household sponges, so they were used for cleaning and other household applications, but they have been replaced by synthetic sponges, so I'm not actually sure whether they're still harvested. I mean, I'm sure people take them as collectibles, which is a no-no, you shouldn't be doing, but I don't think there's much of a commercial trade for them anymore.
Yeah, not particularly, and unfortunately, I mean, they were ravaged in the previous days, but now a lot of sponges in the deeper waters where the collection divers couldn't get to are okay. And they are relatively fast growing out of all the things on the reef. So that is a bonus as well. And you can see the different shapes. So up ahead we have a tube sponge. That's a yellow tube sponge. And in front of it we have another type of sponge. So they just come in all these different shapes and colors. It's glorious.
Yes, it's pretty crazy to think that each sponge we're seeing here is 500 million years of pretty much stagnant evolution. So they were one of the first animals to ever evolve on Earth, and they've remained pretty similar throughout the years.
Yeah, they have. And now we're moving on to another relatively sessile, meaning stationary animal, an anemone. So you can see that's a giant anemone ahead of us. And it's got these green tips as well. And now those tips are actually filled with a gas that makes them kind of float. So it keeps those arms extended, ready to grab anything to eat in the water column.
Now Rian is pointing something out here.
So we're seeing this anemone.
Yeah, it's trying to point out
something else.
Sorry, this current is unreal down here. I believe it's caused by a cruise ship that has pulled up very close and it's created a bit of a current. So I'm just struggling to get in position to see here.
That's okay. That's not a problem, mate. So yes, those cruise ships do keep their thrusters on, which basically creates an unnatural current, which is quite profound, as you can see there. That's what.
So I don't know if you can see this on camera, but there is a little crab feeding in amongst this anemone, and I believe it's a decorated crab.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll keep my eyes peeled.
So it's towards the bottom.
Okay.
Just to the bottom of the anemone, on that little purple encrusting sponge there. Oh, yes. Oh, it's very hard to see, but yes, at the bottom next to, there's a bit of coral poking out on the left of the coral. There's a little movement, and that is a crab. Good spotting. Yeah, well done, Ria. This is an awesome crab. So definitely the crabs that are really, really interesting. Because what they'll do is they'll allow sponges or algae or sometimes even little bits of coral to grow on their shell so that they just look like another part of the environment.
They certainly do. And he'll be using this anemone as amazing protection. So nothing is going to be want to be stung by the anemone, so that's why he's going to be nice and safe. And he'll just be picking up algae and anything that's floating by. That's absolutely... Oh, and I think there's a shrimp in the anemone as well. Oh, yeah. There's a red and white shrimp in the center of your viewing right now. There's also a shrimp in there. That's white and red. So I hope you guys can see this. It's amazing how these animals, can hide, and this is symbiotic. This is a beautiful relationship of protection as well as, benefit. So Proud Cat Mama was wondering, can anemones move around?
Yes, they actually can. So the other day during a long time, I saw something that I have never ever seen before in my life, which was an anemone floating free in the water. Now, obviously when they do this, it leaves them exposed to attack by predators, which we did see. But thankfully they do have these stinging cells that they use to harpoon into their predator or prey, depending on the circumstance, and it will actually give them a sting and paralyze them. So we saw a little, I think it was a filefish, that's right, come up and try and take a bite of this one, and it spat it back out because it got stung. But yes, so they do move, but they don't tend to do it very, very often. It's only every now and again they can detach themselves, float around in the water, and then reattach.
And Herb was saying on the hashtag diveLIVE Twitter that he loved the decorator crab, because we've actually never seen that live, so that's very, very special.
Yeah, I've never actually seen that at all. That was unreal.
And Richard was wondering, is there anything on the reef that eats sponges? So there are loads of animals that eat sponges. Oh, there we go. There's a school of blue tang for us. How glorious. So there are loads of fish, especially angelfish, that eat sponges, as well as the hawksbill turtle. And you can actually see a lot of the time there are big chunks taken out. Now this is a beautiful school of blue tangs. Now you can see that they're all different sizes. So this means that they range from just past the juvenile stage to full-grown adults. And they're stopping to eat algae off the reefs. That's what they're doing now. Pat, how many would you say are in this school?
That's a good question. I reckon about 60. Yeah, about 60 would be in this school. Wow. Maybe even 70. It's quite large. So we can see that they have a white spike towards the base of their body, just on the caudal peduncle, which is Rian's favourite word, and that is the place just between the tail and the stomach. So the spike is actually very, very sharp, and it sits not completely straight in the tail, it sits to side, so when the tail moves, it will slip out to one side. So this means that when it does actually strike something, that it will go in on a 90-degree angle and kind of catch and tear rather than just go in and out. So it's quite a formidable defense mechanism.
Yeah, definitely. And they also, nothing is going to be able to attack them from behind, because if you do, you're going to literally slice your mouth open. And a lot of fish on the reef know that. Oh! Okay, there's a blue tang on the right that I was actually half, it's a different color phase. How interesting. So this one has stripes on it. It could actually be a doctor fish right now. So that is actually a different type of tang, but he's joining in on the feeding, as a protection, as well as you know, if an animal was defending its territory, if you saw 60 fish coming your way, you'd probably run away before you defended it very valiantly. So it's very good to kind of come together and just annihilate all the algae off the reef. So dub.rexy21 is asking, what is the water pH here? So salt water, you're looking at about an 8.0 pH level, maybe a little bit lower. So that's because of all the salt that is here. Because it's so warm, there's a lot of water evaporation. So the pHs are, you know, slightly higher here.
Alright, so let's head out over here and just check out these bombings. Oh, Riyadh's out of the cave.
Yep. Yeah, all the cable is done.
It's all out?
Yeah.
Alright. Well, we'll stick with this school of blue tape then.
Yeah, we can see how they just stop. Like right now, you can see that it's almost a free-for-all. And you might be thinking, why? Why have they just chosen to stop right here? Look at all of those green bits. That's all algae for these animals. That's what they're looking for.
Yes, so they are herbivorous, so they don't eat other organisms or other animals. They only eat algae. And there's quite a lot of algae on this reef here for them. And they're actually playing a very important role by eating this algae because they're harvesting all the energy of the algae off the reef and transferring it up the food chain to their predators that will eat them. And then something else will eat that. And so they're turning all the energy from the primary producers, which is just essentially the first stop in the food chain, and bringing it all the way up to the carnivorous and the apex predators.
Yeah, and I think that someone called them the Blue Tang Clan, which I think is a fabulous name for these group of fish. It is generally the same group that we are seeing. So this is the same clan that will go around this one reef section feeding constantly. And you can see how they're flapping their pectoral or side fins up and down like a bird. Proud Cat Mama was wondering, are these fish aggressive?
The blue tang?
Yes.
No, so as I said, they are herbivorous and they don't really have any reason to be aggressive unless something is attacking them, and then they have that spike on their tail as a defense, but they will not actively go out of their way to harm anything.
Yeah, they're just cruising on, and because they are only feeding on algae, you know, they're not carnivorous, they don't have a need to attack anything, so yeah, they're very chilled out fish. Now, Pat, can we have an air check?
Yes, so I am on 120 bar.
Oh, awesome.
So it's still about half my air left.
So lots of air left, and here we have a stoplight parrotfish, either juvenile or female. Wow.
So the downside to such good clarity today is that there's not heaps of plankton stirred up in the water. And plankton provides food for a whole range of organisms here on coral reefs. So unfortunately, because there's not as much around today, there's not as much life around. But I mean, obviously there is still plenty to see, but just not as much as usual.
Yeah, but it looks like we have a queen angelfish. Oh my gosh, is that a juvenile? We've never seen this one live. It could be a juvenile Bermuda blue. Maybe he'll come out again. That was a very special sighting, guys. I've never seen this fish on this reef. So hopefully Rian can keep on it. Hopefully it will come out again. But that was definitely some sort of angelfish. Rion's gone into stealth mode. He's turned the light off. Maybe that will coax this little guy out. There we go. We can see his face just poking out there, having a look at us. Awesome. Now these are, I'm not sure what type of angelfish this was, but if it was a blue angelfish, a juvenile phase blue, that is very, very rare to see, because these...
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, he is. And you can see how vibrant that blue is. This is really lucky. I've never seen this. So you can see it's got these bright stripes down it. It could even be a hybrid. So some angelfish have been known to breed with a opposite type of angelfish and create a hybrid. So you can imagine we don't normally see that at all. So lovely. I don't think he's going to come out of his hiding hole, but that was a really cool sighting. We'll definitely have to go back and add that one to the log. Beautiful.
So, I didn't get a good look at that. Was it a juvenile queen?
It could have been a juvenile queen angelfish or even a Bermuda blue angelfish.
Very, very pretty. But yeah, I only got to see just a little tip of its nose there poking out. But we do have a French angelfish right here.
Ooh. I don't see it yet. So angelfish have that quite a flat, tall, there we go, that's a French angelfish ahead of us. You can see it's got a very flat, round, disc-like body. And this French angelfish has some glamorous yellow eyeshadow. And this is also what Richard was asking, does anything feed on sponges? These angelfish do. So right now, this French angelfish, I can almost guarantee will stop and have a feed on some sponge.
Yes, they're very, very active feeders here on the reef, and they have a very, very generalist diet. So this does include sponges, as Simone said. And that is because, well, scientists believe it's because they have only evolved recently in terms of evolution, and they think that they've evolved to eat sponges simply because not many other animals have. So over time, animals have learned to eat just about everything on the reef, which puts pressure on any other animal that wants to eat that same thing. So by evolving to eat something that nothing else really eats, well, that's kind of solved that whole problem then, because they don't have that competition for food, because nothing else really wants to eat a dirty old sponge.
Yes, and when we were looking at those barrel sponges, we did say that they were made up of pretty much glass. So they are very, very sharp. They are not very, very appetizing by any means. So it does take a very special animal to be able to consume it. Now this angelfish has almost like a sharp beak, and so that's how it can cut into this glass-like food. And you'll see ahead of the angelfish there's a vase sponge, there's a purple sponge on the left, so hopefully he'll go and have a bite. Yeah. And they have favorite species of sponges that they like to feed on. So, and they'll also always kind of come back. So sometimes they'll chomp on one sponge for a little while, and then they'll leave and come back tomorrow. So they won't just decimate the entire organism, but kind of keep it going. It's quite sustainable. Beautiful. Jackie was wondering, what's the oldest coral on the reef?
What's the
oldest coral on the reef?
I haven't actually gone and aged all the corals here on the reef, so I couldn't tell you, but I can tell you that the ones that have the potential to grow the oldest tend to be the thrusting, slow-growing, really hardy species, the ones that will grow quite dense skeletons, so they're resilient to being smashed by waves or broken or anything like that.
Yeah, and then we also get sometimes black coral here, which can grow around 900 years old. So that's generally located quite deeper because of, unfortunately, efforts of removing them to create jewelry. So you do find them deeper, but they can grow very, very old as well. Yeah. And we're seeing all of these gorgonians. So these are the corals that are swaying in the I want to say the wind, but the current in front of us. Those are corals known as gorgonians. That's beautiful. Proud Cat Mama was wondering, do angelfish have teeth? So they do have a kind of a beak more than teeth. So their actual mouth is in the shape of a round, blunt beak, and that would be kind of considered their teeth. But not how we have teeth. Yvonne was wondering, Pat, how big was that French angelfish you got to see?
I'm sorry, Simone, I really can't. Can you please repeat that?
No problem. Yvonne was wondering how big was that angelfish?
How big the angelfish was?
Yes.
I would say it was about 50 centimetres across from posterior to anterior, from front to back was about 50 centimetres, and from dorsal to ventral it was about 30 centimetres, so the size of a ruler, and yeah, that's 20 inches from front to back.
Yeah, so quite large. And Dub X was saying that the fish here are very, very healthy. And yeah, when they get to these sizes, they are very healthy, and there is a lot of food for them. So it's very, very lucky when the Caymanians have a lot of conservation efforts to keep these reefs healthy and clean. So that's what happens when you have a very healthy, clean reef. You get nice, big, beautiful fish. Jacqueline was wondering, do angelfish eat coral?
Yes, they do. So it is a small part of their diet, but they have been found to have eaten coral polyps.
Yeah, but they'll mostly eat those sponges that we see. But most fish on the reef, you know, they have to be quite general. So especially if, say, there's a jellyfish bloom, a lot of fish will come up and eat those jellyfish, especially angelfish, that has been documented as. But you wouldn't say it's the largest source of protein or food that they look for. And there's low...
Alrighty, everybody, sorry. I have hit 65, so I need to start turning this dive around and doing my safety stop. So I would like to thank you all for joining me down here again today. It's been a very relaxing and wonderful dive. Thank you to Rianne for being on camera, and thank you to Simone on the surface. She'll be taking you down again at 11 AM Grand Cayman time, so just a few hours away. And in the meantime, why don't you tune into Safari Live and see what they're finding over there in Africa.
Thank you, Pat. All right, Pat, you're off air.